Ever since it came out that the Pelicans had a $17 million trade exception, I held off on this video for a little bit longer than I was anticipating because, I thought they might use it, which they still might, and then inevitably it's probably going to happen within the next 12 hours. I'm going to have to remake this video or something like that, but as of right now, the team is different. It's not as different as it could be, but as of right now, we're looking at a different team, and this is a team that I think could be even better next year, based off some of the signings, based off some of the moves, and just based off generally the development of a team that is built around Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Kyra Lewis, all these guys that are still very young in their NBA careers and should get better. And I said it before in the last video, but Pelicans fans, subscribe to the channel. I make more content on the Pelicans than probably anyone you know, unless they're a Pelicans fan channel, which at this point I'm close to, because I did the numbers. It's like 15 Pelicans videos in the last year, which is a pretty decent amount. So you may as well subscribe. I'm going to continue making this content. It doesn't do the best numbers in comparison to other videos, but I enjoy making it. And if you guys subscribe and enjoy watching it, then I'll continue doing it. So that would be cool. Also, drop a like on the video if you want to see more of this. You get the point. That's just my pitch to you guys. But my pitch to you guys about your team, which you probably care about a little bit more, is that I think this could be one of the best offenses in the league. Now, straight off the bat, if Buddy Hield signs to the Pelicans, well then, there's no ifs, buts, or maybes. That will be one of, if not the best offenses in the league when you have Buddy, Devonte Graham, all those guys. You get the point. That's going to be insane. Zion and Buddy, Ingram. Yeah, that would be insane. But just outside of that, even if they don't have Buddy, you're looking at a starting lineup that potentially, I believe, would be Devonte Graham, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and Jonas Valančiūnas, which we'll get into the starting lineup. We'll get into the new additions. Before I even do that, you can't just have a top offense because all of a sudden you got in Devonte Graham and Jonas Valančiūnas and a couple of guys took a leap. That's not leading you to a top offense. You have to have somewhere to start. And the Pelicans do have somewhere to start, a pretty good place, because they were the 10th ranked offense this year. That was after a really slow start. The first month, they were one of the worst offenses in the league. And then in about February, they were the best offense. And then it kind of leveled out and they were around the 10th to 12th ranked offense for the rest of the season. So they were pretty good for the most part of the season. But in February, when Zion actually, I think, had the most ball handling responsibility, or at least when his ball handling responsibility really went up a notch, their offensive rating took a big jump as well. And that's what I expect. That's why I believe that Graham signing at $11 million a year as opposed to the Lonzo signing. I do like Lonzo. I thought he would have been a nice signing, but when you consider Zion will handle the ball more than anyone else, and then you have Ingram, like, the third guy is always going to be the third guy unless you got in someone crazy like a Damian Lillard. But if you're getting in a Graham, Alonzo, they're going to be the third guys. So to have someone at a pretty nice price range that can do similar things as a third guy to Alonzo, I like that. But just getting back to the offense, yeah, they were like the 10th ranked offense. They were a pretty good offense that was with a coach that wasn't exactly great. I mean, Stan Van Gundy, I know some people tried to justify it for a while, but let's be honest, he wasn't exactly great. He made some questionable moves. I don't think he was awful, but, he wasn't great. And that was also with a team that had a lot of young players that weren't even that great in terms of, they weren't very positive players. Kyra Lewis, the first half of the season, wasn't exactly making a positive impact, which is not unusual. I don't say that in a bad way. I think he's going to be a good player, but normally first-year rookie point guards don't make huge impacts off the bench when you're 18 years old or whatever he was. Jackson Hayes still wasn't really a positive player until the second half of the season. There were guys playing that weren't really positives on the team. Even Nickeil Alexander-Walker wasn't doing a ton in the first half of the season. So those guys should all be positives heading into the season. I don't know about the Jackson Hayes situation. That just seems to get weirder by the day with the newest report I saw, which if you saw, you saw. I'm not going to say it out loud, but just a weird situation, that whole thing. So hopefully that gets sorted out, because I actually have a lot of faith in Jackson Hayes being a really solid player for this team. I think he could be really nice. That's what I think. But just those guys are going to be better. All of a sudden you get that straight away. The depth is going to be better because you've got guys that are going to step up. And then looking at the coaching assignment, Willie Green is someone who prides himself on being like a people's kind of guy, is what I've heard. I'm sure he'll be good with the X's and O's. I'm sure he knows all of that stuff. But basically what he said is it's about the relationship you have with your players, which I'm sure he learned from Monty Williams and whatnot, his past coaching experiences. I expect him to be that kind of guy. But in the wings, if you need someone to do the X's and O's on offense, they hired Mike D'Antoni. So if you need someone to do the X's and O's while Willie Green is a player's coach and does other stuff, maybe defensive-minded, I don't know the specifics of how it's going to work, but Mike D'Antoni in the wings is not a bad thing. The Brooklyn Nets, he was in the wings for them, top offense. Before, Houston, top offense. Phoenix Suns, I mean, it's Mike D'Antoni. You know what he brings. He brings great offense. Zion's going to have like a 40% usage rate if he has anything to do with it, and probably average like 40 and 10 a game. So that's what's going to happen. And straight away, there's the signs of being a good offense. And then you look at the moves they've made, which we'll talk about. Straight off the bat, Devonte Graham, I like this signing at $11 million a year. It wasn't their first option, probably wasn't their second option. Maybe it was their third or fourth option. But now all of a sudden with the trade exception you got, and with him only being at around $11 million a year, you've invested in Kira Lewis, you've invested in Nickeil Alexander-Walker. If they take a big leap and Graham all of a sudden has to be a six-man at $11 million a year, that's perfectly fine. It gives you some flexibility. It's a contract that's pretty easy to move. He's definitely at that price range. Like he's an $11 to $15 million a year, so you didn't overpay for him. It's more flexible. You have more options with what you can do. And just his role in terms of what he's going to bring for this team, I just alluded to it before, but I don't think it's much different to Lonzo. Lonzo's a better player, don't get me wrong. He's a better defender. He gives you some things that Graham's not going to give you. He's better in transition, obviously all those things, but when it comes down to it, as I said, they're going to be the third option, fourth option at times. You've got Valančiūnas as well who can score the ball. Nickeil Alexander-Walker can score the ball. You've got a lot of scorers on this team, so just to have someone in Graham who's a good off-the-ball player. He shoots really well from three, 38% the last 2 years on a lot of attempts. Like he's a legitimate three-point shooter. I know you see the field goal percentage and straight away you're put off. Oh my God, he shoots sub 40%. Like his true shooting percentage, effective field goal percentage isn't terrible. It's league average because he takes so many threes. If he's going to continue to take more threes, his percentage could go up a notch as well because now he's playing alongside Zion, who's going to give him so many open looks. If he shoots 9 threes a game and makes about 40% of them, it doesn't matter if he's shooting 38% from the field. If he's only taking a few shots from there, that's fantastic. That's exactly what you want alongside Zion Williamson. So you get that. He's also a good playmaker. He can run the pick and roll. He can throw lobs to Zion in case you're wondering whether the Zion lobs are still going to be there. Yes, he can do that. He can also spot up. He can create his own shots. I like this signing at $11 million a year. You get flexibility and it works. It works. I talked about the other guys before, the draft picks. I made a video specifically on that. Trey Murphy, I love it. 26 points in his first Summer League game. You saw what exactly he would be, 6 threes. I expect him to make an impact from the get-go. Maybe not a starter. Well, he won't be a starter, but I expect him to make some kind of an impact, seeing as he's 21 years of age. He's come from Virginia, a program where you see so many players ready to play. The likes of Malcolm Brogdon comes to mind immediately. And he's going to be able to knock down threes. He's going to be able to defend multiple positions. So immediately you're getting 20 minutes off the bench probably from him. And he'll be playing with Zion in the second unit, as Zion likes to run with the second unit to make up for any of the blemishes that they have. To have another shooter in the second unit and another defender, huge piece. I love that signing. Herb Jones probably won't play as much based off what he did in the Summer League the first game. But again, another good signing. Someone who provides defensive impact. A bit of a Swiss Army knife on defense. Can guard multiple positions. His offense, a little bit questionable, but he gives you some defensive versatility. I like those signings. I like those draft picks. I talked about that before. Jonas Valančiūnas, again, I talked about that as well. Everyone kind of knows what Valančiūnas is going to bring. You're trading defense for offense. You're trading in someone who's going to space the floor. That's what it comes down to. He's going to space the floor. He's shot, 38% from three off the top of my head on like 1 attempt a game. I expect that to go up to 2 to 3 attempts a game. I believe they're just going to let him sit out there and shoot the ball. He could be shooting 3 to 4 attempts a game. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if he took that big of a jump, and he does have the form. He does have the history to suggest that he could be good enough as someone taking 3 to 4 attempts a game and shooting nearly 40%, which is huge. He's also got some post moves. Defensively, we need to see how this whole situation is going to hold up. But if you're just off the notion that we're going to be good enough offensively, a top offense, which with all of these new additions, as I mentioned, I think it will be a top offense with the new coaching hires, D'Antoni and Willie Green. I like it. And defensively, it comes down to Zion and Ingram. Those guys do have the potential to be all NBA defenders. Zion, we saw how good he was in college. He just is he hasn't looked the same at the NBA in terms of defensively. I think it's kind of been an injury thing, in my opinion, based off what I've seen. He does look a little bit more tentative. I don't believe he's slow or any of those things. He just looks a little bit more tentative to not get injured, and he's just a little bit more cautious with his movements. But he got better over the season. He's also played under different coaches in different roles, so it's not exactly easy to get his bearings, but he's getting to more like an average defender, but he can definitely be an above average defender, and so can Ingram. Ingram has been an above average defender. He can be an elite defender with his wingspan, with his length, all of those things. If those guys become good defenders, which they should be realistically, all of a sudden, those other guys that aren't great defenders, you don't have to worry about them as much. But if you've got those guys being below average again, well then, kind of, even if their offense is as elite as I believe it will be, there's going to be some papers in the cracks. Is that how it goes? In terms of some other guys, I alluded to it before, but Kira Lewis, he wasn't exactly a positive in the first half of the season. I don't say that as a disrespect. People think that's like disrespectful. No, he's just a rookie point guard as a teenager. Now he's going to be better. He's going to be nice off the second unit. He can push the ball in transition like Lonzo. He pushes up the tempo. I like what he's going to bring. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, when he started, was productive. I expect the same things of him as a 2 guard. As I said, if Buddy Hield or someone gets traded, Harrison Barnes, I don't know. They've got a $17 million trade exception. Thomas Satoransky at the moment is on the team, and he's not exactly really a flashy player or someone that you're going to lose your mind over, but solid player, got some length, got some passing, got some versatility. He's going to be decent if you give him 15 to 20 minutes a night. This is a team, Najee Marshall as well is going to be good. Garrett Temple, they re-signed. This is a team that was playing James Johnson towards the end of his career, a lot of minutes in the second half of the season. They were playing JJ Redick, who just didn't want to be there, wasn't really providing an impact. There are other guys that I can't think of off the top of my head, but they were playing a lot of guys on the bench that just weren't really giving them much, which is why Zion had to spend so much time with his second unit and had to carry them through those minutes. Now all of a sudden you seem like you've got a more well-rounded team, which is just going to help everyone out. You can have Zion and BI spend a little bit more time together as well, because you don't have to worry about that second unit as much anymore. Pelicans just look like a more well-rounded team. Yes, they lost Lonzo. Maybe they didn't get back the return they would have hoped in Devonte Graham instead of a Kyle Lowry or someone like that. But Graham fills a similar kind of role. You're hoping that the leadership can come from Zion, Ingram, Willie Green, because I think that's what they wanted from Lowry more than anything. The leadership, the proven winning, rather than just him being some kind of elite player right now. He's still good. Don't get me wrong. He's still a very good player, but the leadership, the winning, the mentality, all of those things, those kind of cliches, but the things that he actually does bring is what I believe they would have wanted from him more than anything. So if you get that from Zion and Ingram and get Devonte Graham at a cut price and maybe another guy through a trade exception, this is a Pelicans team that's shaping up to be really nice, a really exciting team. Whether they stop anyone on the other end of the floor, yeah, definitely debatable. Definitely debatable if they're actually going to do any defensive work, but it comes down to Zion and BI. If they want to lock in and be good defenders, they can definitely do that. Offensively, there's going to be not many question marks over this team. It's going to be one of the best offenses in the league, and I'm excited to see that. That's kind of all I've got to say. I haven't seen many people suggesting the Pelicans could be a playoff team. I'm still waiting to see what they're going to do with the last move in free agency, but as of right now, I'd have them in the playoffs right now, but I've just got an unbelievable amount of confidence in Zion. Plus, they lost so many games, so many close games last year that I believe if they can just stop doing that, easier said than done, they should be a playoff team.